Good morning if you're joining on YouTube and Facebook. Let's go live on Instagram. We're going live. Good morning if you're joining on Instagram. And then I just have to press the button on Zoom to find the Zoom group. It's all very technical for a Monday morning. And here we go, the Zoom group are joining. Good morning if you're joining on Zoom. We're here, welcome, it's Monday morning. Good way to start a new week with a little bit of breath work. And I wanted to focus on what we did last Monday, because there was a lot of comments about chest breathing. And I really want to highlight that it's not as black and white as belly breathing is good, chest breathing is bad. It all depends where, how much, where the emphasis is. So what emphasis is, that's a good word, or good two words. What I want to play around with today is that really subtle, soft, elastic breathing into the heart, breathing into the chest. So we're not holding tension here. And then if we have time, because I always say we're going to do X and then we never have time because it gets to 8:30. If we have time, I want to do some breath holds or pauses with a little bit of movement as well. And I'm just going to see if I can put the clock on because I haven't got the clock so I can see what time it is. So while I'm doing that, find your comfortable standing position and we'll do a little bit of a warm up first and create that space for the breath to start off with. There we go. I can see what time it is now, which is always very useful. So finding a space where you have room to the front and the back and side. I was watching Instagram at the weekend and I noticed all the influencers are holding their microphone now like this. I suppose I should talk like this as we do in the practice. Why everybody started to do that, I do not know. Feet shoulder width apart. Let's go into knocking. Gentle rotation through the spine. Breathing easy in and out through the nose. Relaxing the shoulders, relaxing between the shoulder blades and the back of the body. Just easing in. Slowing it down into water waves. Make sure you've got a good base of support, that you're really connecting through the ground, to the ground through the legs. You've got some softness in the knees, softness in the ankles. Relax the shoulders, relax the wrists. Relax into the elbows, fingers. And take a moment. Pulling down in 6 directions, or pulling down the sky in 6 directions. Breathing in. We rotate the shoulders, the palms, the elbow pits of pointing towards the sky. Have that little bit of bend in the knees so we can rotate and then come round the center and back. Breathing in. I hope we weren't breathing in all the way through that because I only give one cue to breathe in. So breathe in and then breathe out as you rotate. Breathe in and breathe out. Repeat, side. Smooth out the edges of the movement, smooth out the edges of the breath. So there's no start and stop. It just flows from breath in, breath out. One more. One more to each side, that is, so we've got to go to the other side as well. Just take a moment, just keeping the palms facing the ground here. So we've got that little bit of roundness in the elbows, palms just facing the ground, the spine stays lifted and long, shoulders down. And then have a little bit of a shake. Spinal cord breathing, so sitting back a little bit, tilting the pelvis, breathing in, and then tucking the pelvis underneath, breathing out. All of these movements are great for warming up, getting the blood flowing to the tissues, to the cells, warming the muscles, getting the oxygen delivered to the cells, but also creating space for the breath, opening the rib cage, getting that movement through the spine, getting that flexibility through the spine. Do a couple more. And then take a rest. Let's do palms facing front. So again, we're opening up the shoulders. We're particularly opening up across here, the collarbone. This is where we can tend to get very tight. Opening up across the front of the chest, lifting and lengthening the spine. I'm not forcing, make sure we're not forcing anything open. Make the arms feel heavy. The arms are heavy, pulling the shoulders down, opening across the chest. And then giving the arms a little bit of a shake. Dog wags the tail, gliding side to side. So imagine you've got a tail along the tailbone, leads into a tail. So you get that little bit of a tail there, wagging the tail and then just freeing up the spine. Remember that idea, the Qigong, that everything starts from the center. So you're moving your center, moving here, and everything follows. I'm not moving my head, I'm not moving my shoulders. This leads, and then everything just frees up from there. So we just get that wave through the spine. And slowing that down, and then just moving into some shaking. So I particularly like tapping the heels into the ground. Again, if that hurts, if you've got any issues with the ankles or anything like that, and that creates pain, then don't do that. But what is good, when you tap the heels into the ground, you tend to get that vibration just running through the whole. You can hear it, as I say, every time. You can hear it more in my voice today. I must be much more relaxed. So tapping the heels, taking a couple of cleansing and clearing breaths. So that means we take that fuller breath in through the nose and let go. Bring the wrists in and the fingers, shoulders. And slowing down. It's often when you do the shaking, I notice this sometimes, and I think I did hear it there a little bit more in my voice, we always hold here. So even though we're shaking, we go, really just got to let those shoulders go without moving the shoulder. I mean, you can move the shoulders a little bit if you need to, but that's what's nice about that tapping into the ground. It just frees everything up. Just take a moment just to stand. You can have your palms facing front if you want. You can just let your arms hang by the side. It always is nice when you're just relaxing here, just to take again that fuller breath in. And you can either let go gently through the mouth or just calm breath in. Let that breath go through the nose. Whatever feels good, a couple of those, and then just let that breath settle back. Okay, I'm just going to do a bit of self-massage or loosening up here on the sternum. So the sternum is the breastbone down the middle there. Just gently tap either side. You've got your fingertips there. Or if you want to use your knuckles. And again, if this encourages a bit of a cleansing and clearing breath, go for it. If you feel you want to do a little bit of cleansing and clearing, that's fine. If you just want to breathe easy, just go with that. Got a window to look out of, have a look out the window. What's it like today? Cloudy here. And then just take a rest. Find the spot, find your collarbone, bony bit there, and then you've got that little bit that sinks in just underneath the collarbone. And then there you're just doing a little bit of a circle. This point is in Qigong, traditional Chinese medicine, is a long point. Also, if you think about it from an anatomical point of view, it's where that pec minor joins. So if you're doing a lot of work like this on a computer, you'll feel that it can tighten up here. So just circle into there. And again, that can restrict and tighten the chest there. And then we'll go to the other side. And then we're going to bring our attention down. We go to the base of the sternum and we find our belly button and we just come in between that point, just putting a little bit of pressure there. As I always say, every single week, if anything feels uncomfortable, don't do it. But if you're comfortable with a little bit of pressure there, just gently putting pressure in there with the fingers. And notice how that area responds to your breathing. If you want to take slightly fuller breaths, just to exaggerate that feeling, that's fine. So if you wanted to take a slightly slower, fuller breath, keep it in and out through the nose. So you can feel as you're breathing in, fingers pushing out. And then as you're breathing out, fingers sink back in. And have that exhale or the out breath as just letting go. So we don't have to actively exhale here. So breathing in and then letting go. And I really want you to focus on how this area responds rather than trying to use any muscles or anything in this area. If somebody says belly breathing and really use the belly to breathe, I'm not doing this. I'm not pushing my belly in and out. I want to feel how this area responds to the breath. So, so important that. I'm not doing any work with any abdominal muscles. Then we're going to come a little bit lower. You've got your belly button. We're going to come about 3 fingers down from the belly button. Same, so we're on those lower abs, same thing. Put a little bit of pressure there. If it feels uncomfortable, stop. But if you can, a little bit more pressure there. So we're bringing that breath deep. And again, really emphasizing it is how this area responds to the breath, not trying to breathe. If you need to take slightly fuller breaths to accentuate that response, that's fine. But what I want us to be able to get to is that we breathe very light and soft, but can still feel the softness here. That even if it's tiny, tiny micro movements, I want to get that movement down here without you trying to move. And what is happening is this is created by the intra-abdominal pressure. As you breathe in, diaphragm moves down, creates pressure in the abdomen, which pushes the abdomen wall, connective tissues, fascia forwards. I'm not physically using my belly to breathe. The only time you may start to physically activate muscles here is if you're doing sort of like heavy lifting where you have to brace, or if we're doing a little bit more power move where you have to use an active exhale, where you would then bring the diaphragm back into its resting posture. So just imagine, let's just do it now, just blowing a candle out and feeling as if you're very gently pulling up the pelvic floor a little bit, using these abdominal muscles to breathe out. So take a gentle breath in through the nose. Feel that little bit of expansion, and then just blow a candle out. Just gently pulling in. Let's do that again, breath in. So this is an active exhale, blow the candle out. And notice with that, let's do a couple more actually, breath in. It's so subtle. I'm not blowing the candle out and going, pulling everything in, tightening the core. We don't want to be doing that. We want to breathe to the requirements, the effort that we need to put into something. Blowing a candle out is very light and soft. And what is challenging about all of this is it's not like, oh, let's lift a weight and you can see what I'm doing and we can all do that together. You've got to really sense this. We're not seeing any movement going on here. It's just that very gentle exhale, blow the candle out. So I'm not squeezing, pulling up the pelvic floor, pulling in the abs. It's just a little bit of an emphasis there. Next really important point is this breathing into the heart center. Because again, bring the focus up to the upper chest. And where we've just done all of the tapping, feel the breath as it comes into here. Just as you got that very gentle engagement here, I want you to feel softness and elasticity here. Notice there's no raising of the shoulders. And yeah, if you want to put your hand on the chest, that's nice, just to put your hand on the chest. There's very subtle micro movement. Shoulders stay relaxed. Breathing into the heart center or breathing into the heart. There's a big difference of thinking of this as chest breathing, because we need to breathe up here, we need to get air up here. And if we start to exercise or move more, we need greater volume. But here we're just standing, very light volume of air deep into the body, but also not neglecting here. And there's a big difference between chest breathing here as opposed to pulling everything up and using the accessory breathing muscles. And I think we tend to get a little bit in black and white. It's like, oh, we want to be breathing down here, not up here. Quite rightly, we want more focus down here most of the time, but we don't want to neglect this area here. Bring it into the back now. So bring it into that upper back. So imagine it's like a huge balloon. So as you breathe in, it's not just expanding here, but it's expanding here in the thoracic spine. And actually, there'll be a little bit of a rounding. And again, that can sound negative because it's like we don't want to round that upper back. But because you're breathing in, you're creating a little bit more space in the spine, the upper back. So breathing to the back as well. And just one more really subtle focus. I'm going to put your hand, I'm going to put my hand, not your hand, on the lower back there. Do you know, like we do knocking, when we're knocking and the arm swings down there? So you've got your hand on the chest here. Now, as we breathe in, I want you to almost feel a subtle, I'm doing a big movement here, but a subtle tilting of the pelvis forward. So think what we did with spinal cord. but I'm not doing a big movement like that. It's just almost like you're just letting go. So that back hand will sink in a little bit more. This is so subtle. This is why it's really difficult to cue, difficult to watch, difficult to feel, because I can't see what you're doing, and vice versa. But you just get that sort of like, think of spinal cord breathing, but in micro movements. And then have a little shake out. I really want you to focus on that and just play around with that subtlety, because it is so subtle. It's not as black and white as, it's not as simple as we think it is. I think like everything needs to be down here and nothing up here. We don't want to restrict stuff up here. We've got 4 minutes. We're going to play around with a breath hold, just something a bit fun to do. But if we're holding the breath, do not hold your breath if you are pregnant, if you've got blood pressure issues, if you've got any cardiovascular issues, if you've got glaucoma. We don't want to do any breath holds. We're only going to do a short breath hold, so it would be fine, but there are these contraindications. I'm doing this, I can't see what you're doing if you're on Instagram, if you're on YouTube or Zoom. So really be careful with this. You have to be very, very careful when we're doing breath holds. I'm going to give you a 10-second count, and if it feels comfortable with a breath hold on that 10-second count, stay with that. We stay with the 10-second count. If it feels slightly challenging on a 10-second count, stay with that. If it feels horrendous on a 10-second count, just take a breath when you need to take a breath. And I really emphasize that it's not about forcing and pushing. What we're going to do in that 10 seconds is you're going to pinch your nose, or you're going to block your nose, or we're going to do a little squat. You're going to sit down and then you're going to come up. That's going to take 10 seconds, so it's not going to be as easy as that. Again, if you need to take a breath, you take a breath. You will then have 20, by the time I've explained this, it's going to be 8:30. You're going to have 20 seconds recovery, and then we go again, 10 seconds, 20 seconds recovery. We'll do that 3 times. That should be enough. So get yourself into that comfortable standing position. Breathing easy. The one thing I forgot to mention is you will hold the breath or pause the breath after a normal exhale. So we're going to breathe in now. Going to breathe out. Block your nose, slow squat, doesn't have to be low. Then you can start coming up, and then you can breathe. That might be quite a nice full breath. This is your recovery. We're doing interval breath holds. We've got 5 seconds to go. So normal breath in, breath out. Let's go again. Come back up and breathe. We've got 5 seconds. We'll do normal breath in, normal breath out, pause and squat. And breathe and recover. Then have a little bit of a shake out. So we're doing interval training there, cardiovascular system, respiratory system, but without overstressing the musculoskeletal system. And we can build that up a little bit. We can do it the opposite way around. You can do 20 seconds hold, 10 seconds recovery. If you can get to that, it's a really great, a great exercise. Brilliant. Have a good rest of your day. I just wanted to highlight, I still have places left. If any, I'm coming to the UK at the end of this week, and then I've still got places left for my Scotland retreat and the London workshop, if anybody is still interested. Scotland is 13th to the 16th of March. They're both Oxygen Advantage instructor trainings, and London is the 21st to the 23rd of March. So if anybody's interested, give me a shout. Otherwise, I will see you on Wednesday for some more resistance, strength-based body weight. That's the word I'm looking for. Have a good day. Take care. Thanks for joining. Bye. Bye all.